Welcome to the Ultimate Marketing Podcast with Dee, Vish and Sarah. We're here to help you grow and scale your business online using marketing strategies and tactics. In this episode, we're going to be talking about your marketing message and why that is so important to have crystal clear when you start doing marketing around your business.
As crystal clear as your introduction.
Oh my God, did you think? I was like,
yeah.
I was almost a bit scared, didn't
It's
it?
like
This is something that I need to listen to.
Yeah, it's like PSA, public service announcement.
It's like a public service announcement.
Like, ladies and gentlemen. I love it.
It was one of those things where like you suddenly, we have been interrupted by, this program with this important announcement.
So not just program, but remember that's happening tomorrow, right?
What?
Tomorrow's Sunday, right? Okay, so we are recording this podcast sometime in, what month are we in? We're in March 2023. We're on the 25th. On the 26th of March is when they're testing the UK announcement service to mobile phones. Sorry,
Are they?
I just have dad facts. So I just like acquire facts like they're just going out of fashion. So yeah, so we're going to receive notifications on our phones tomorrow, irrespective of if our phones.
If you're listening to this podcast, it might not be tomorrow for you.
Yeah, it might have already happened.
This episode is probably released a month from when we recorded it.
Right? So yeah, let us know how you found that. But that's actually
let us know how you found that.
That's marketing by the government.
And you might not know this, but actually Sarah Cox was the person behind it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, right? So marketing message. That's a marketing message from the government is being tested out tomorrow. But anyway.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I should be on talk radio. Anyway, never mind.
You should,
I love the fact Sarah's like, I didn't know that, but she's the one behind it.
Yeah, I know.
No, I created it.
Announced here.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
what are we talking about today?
Marketing message.
And
why it's so important to be crystal clear on what your message is.
Oh my God, so important. And across so many different areas because there is so much inconsistency.
Oh man, is there just?
Oh my gosh. That's why don't go and look at my website.
Well, you're working on that anyway, so it's going to be
it's going through a rebrand. It's going through a rebrand.
That's fine, right?
But I think one of the reasons I did that or I wanted to start that rebrand was because obviously when I started my business, it was for a different audience. It was a different, and so the messaging and everything was not great.
Yeah.
I then got it done. Redone, and then it just didn't reflect me. And I was like, I need something that's going to reflect my personal brand.
Yeah.
But don't you think actually getting your marketing message clear is actually quite hard?
Yeah, it is.
Gosh, yes.
It's actually harder than you think it's going to be.
Oh my God, is it?
Even when you know your avatar.
Yeah, man.
Even when you know who you want to work with,
Mate.
which we talked about in another episode, but even when you know who you want to work with, trying to articulate what it is you do to whom can be very, very difficult in a concise way so that people understand.
Yeah, so they don't lock off and they get bored, right?
And persuasive, and also in a way that really shows your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to sound like you at the end of the day.
It's got to sound like you,
Yeah.
but resonate with them.
Yes.
That is key.
Oh my God.
That is
That's
key,
just like
D.
dropping the keys today. You're like DJ Khaled. This is the key. This is the key.
Oh, I wish we had that jingle down.
DJ
Khaled.
It's another one. Sorry. Dad jokes. But you're gonna hate my dad jokes at the end of this. But no, like I'm going through a rebrand as well at the moment. It's so difficult. And one thing that I stopped doing was looking at other people's websites to compare and contrast. Because I'm like, no, man, your website's your. Because I say to my clients, don't look at other people's websites. Don't look at their landing pages. Don't look at their content because your message is so different. But then I fell into the trap of it myself and I was like, no, just gonna have a quick peek and see what everybody else is doing out there as well. And then like literally after 20 minutes, I was like, stop this shit, Vish.
Yeah.
Because you're now doing what you tell your clients not to do.
Yeah.
And it was good that I recognized that pattern and I broke it down. And then I've just actually made something. Conceptualized it that is actually just representative of me.
You've got to be you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
we're all unique, aren't we?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
like even if we do marketing, so there's an overlap between what me and Vish do.
Yeah.
But the way Vish does it and the way I do it are going to be different.
Yeah.
The type of people we work with may be different.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Like you might need to know or love really good dad jokes to work with.
That is true.
Yeah,
whereas I don't have any dad jokes.
Oh my gosh. Was that a dad joke in itself? I wonder
Maybe it was.
It's like the Twilight Zone of jokes right now. Oh my God.
But it is so true, isn't it? Like,
expect loads of floral shirts from me when you see my branding. That's all I'm going to say.
But I think that's what's great about collaboration, right? Is like, you know, people like both of you can collaborate together because there is so much that you complement each other with.
100%.
And there'll be things that Vish does that, Sarah doesn't, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then you also, and that's why we talked about in previous episodes about, the avatar and how important that is, because your avatar, you will attract a certain type of people, Vish, and Sarah, you will attract a certain type of people.
Right.
And your people would never like Vish and vice versa.
Well, no.
Well, they
Never.
might
Never.
like him.
Never like
He's a
Vish.
nice dad.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not that bad.
But you know what I'm saying, as in,
some
know
of
what
my
you mean.
jokes are funny, even if you don't think so, D.
But I think that's an important thing. Like, you can do the same thing as someone else, but certain people are going to resonate with you and certain people are going to resonate with the other person.
100%. There's so much space in the marketplace. And unfortunately, it's lost on a lot of people and they get very territorial over it. Whereas I'm like, no, man. Like, if a customer's not right for me, I'll do my level best to find you somebody you can work with. And if I know the person and I like and I trust them, like you, Sarah, like you, D, then I'll happily go, listen, guys, I've already warmed them up. They're not the right customer for me because I can't vibe with them, or what they want done lies more with your area of expertise. Can you look after them? And like half the job's done, right?
And that's why that whole comparison, like Theodore Roosevelt said, right? Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yes.
And I think that when you're looking
Great
at your
quote.
marketing message, it's there'll be things that are similar to what you do, your service, but how you resonate with your particular audience, your tone of voice, your personality, your and I got into a very similar trap because there's two things, right? First of all, as a LinkedIn trainer, I was looking at other people's websites, especially now that I'm, rebranding, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're doing this. And then combine that with what they're putting out on social media. I'm like, oh my God, like I should be doing all of this. And I've been, a LinkedIn trainer for this many years more, and I haven't even done this. You go down that rabbit hole.
You do.
And you lose it in the
Comparisonitis.
Comparisonitis.
Oh my God, I never heard that term before.
There we go.
Comparisonitis.
Yes.
It's a proper illness.
Oh my God, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be using
Yeah.
that. That's it. I'm going to be like buzzword.
And we are the antibiotics to it. That's what I'm saying. So you should definitely, make sure that you're listening in to us.
I'll be honest with you.
Like your cure.
Leave the dad jokes to me. Okay, leave the dad jokes to me, please.
I think the key point is collaboration rather than competition.
Absolutely, right.
We're better together than we are on our own.
100%, man.
Yeah.
It's just like, unfortunately people do, right? Because with everything that's happened, not just in the UK, but worldwide with COVID and like the whole kind of global recession that's going on, people are going to...
Apparently we're not in a recession though, right?
Apparently.
Isn't that what the...
apparently so.
What the...
Really?
What was it called? The budget. That was it.
Yeah.
It was like the budget announcement or whatever.
So. Yeah.
Apparently, like, we haven't quite gone into it.
Well, the Bank of England commented on that, like, I think it was end of last week, and they were like, yeah, we've narrowly avoided a recession, and we don't think we're going to, we're going to go and dip into it. But I don't think that's the case. I think that, people are going to double down a bit more. They're going to be, a bit more cautious, I think.
And maybe that is why marketing's even more important.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, not even a maybe. I think it's a definitely.
Yeah.
It definitely is, man. Like,
If people are getting a bit like they're looking at where they're spending their money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they tend to stop the marketing.
That tends to be one of the first things.
Those things that stop. But the thing is that marketing and sales, if you look at those two things, they're part of the same coin.
Of course they are.
So therefore, if you want to, during tough times, make more revenue, which comes from more leads that you overturn and, you convert, where are those leads going to come from? Guess what? From the marketing. But the marketing message has to be right in order for the right leads to come through.
100%, man.
And so taking us back into this marketing message of topic, it's like, like we're talking about with the website, it's, understanding that your copy, your voice, your tone and your branding and all of that's going to, or your brand in the content and the copy, and also the consistency, right, across board. So whether it's your website, whether it's your sales funnel, whether it's your email marketing, whether it's the content that you're putting out on social media, all of that, your LinkedIn profile. Oh my God, I could literally do a whole episode just on that.
But you could, man.
But it is just about that marketing message, so that when they, let's say, just using LinkedIn as an example, when they then connect, or if they see a bit of your content and then they visit your profile and it just seems misaligned, they're not even going to bother connecting.
Yeah, man.
In the same way that, you know, if your sales funnel says one thing and they come through to you and they opt in, and your email marketing nurture sequence is completely off message or off brand or off tone,
or off timing as well, right?
Or they're unsubscribing.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
that's
consistency
really
is key.
Yeah, man. Consistency is absolutely key. Like, you know, especially with like when we say message, like we're talking about message, like you've spoken about like tangible things like websites, you know, content, etc. But, you know, when you boil it down, content, it's what you are saying. And like what we're saying is marketing is important. I think people stop marketing during these times because the people that they're going to can't attribute a ROAS to it or an ROI. Like if you can't prove an ROI on the marketing, like why would you do it? Like,
But is
then
that
it's a
because
cost.
people want instant gratification?
I think it's a mixture of everything, right? I think it's
That's
people.
another episode.
Yes.
Just do on its own.
Let me just take that note down quickly. No, I think it's instant gratification, the wanting now. Like I've given you X amount of money, I need that fucking result now, right? Sorry, I should beep that shit out, right?
No,
But
I thought you said we were all right with the podcast.
I think we are, but I don't know if it reflects
should we,
well.
Should we just do a round of applause for you?
Because I broke the F seal.
Yeah.
There you go. Round of
There you go.
applause. Okay, I've broken the F seal. So basically, it's where was I even going with you? The applause. Okay, yeah. So it is it's a mixture of both, and I think that's because people are like, we don't know what's going on. We haven't got that transparency. We don't know what we're putting in and getting out. But they're also, it just becomes a cost, right? Whereas if you go, this £1 that you've spent with me has given you £4 worth of revenue into your business, and you've got, you know, a cost of an extra pound on top of that. You're making £2 profit clear, right? That's a good equation to me, right? Why would you not put that extra pound in and take a pound out for profit? Like, why would you not do that?
I think a lot of companies would, but the problem is, or the challenge is they want it instantly. They want it straight away, right? So they're happy if they go, £2, and then I'm putting £2 in and getting £4 out. It's like a slot machine. Why wouldn't you keep doing that? Yeah. The challenge is that they want that straight away. So marketing is not always instant. There's, you know, in the first couple of months, you want to tweak, you want to test, you want to see what funnel works the best. Mm-hmm. You want to see when you put the funnel out, you know, if you're putting ads out, what is working best. So there's a lot of tweaking and testing that goes into that investment. Yeah. So you've got to understand that there's going to be a little bit of wastage at the beginning, whether that be, you know, coming to someone who's a done for you. So like Sarah, you know, you do people's lead magnets, you help them getting out there. You got to know what's working, and then you'll be with them and going, actually, for this month, let's tweak this. Let's make this better. We know that this is, you know, A/B testing, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas what's happening at the moment is because people are so scared and fearful, what they do is they put money into something, and if they don't get a result within a month, they stop.
They stop. Yeah, that's so common.
And the onion approach to this is so, I mean, there's so many different freaking layers to this, right? Firstly, it's your customer, like your avatar, knowing who to pitch to, and qualification. Like, part of the qualification that I have is, do you have this much money to spend over 3 or 4 months? Do you understand it's going to take that amount of time, not to break even, but to test and then start to scale only after we understand what works? Like, I can tell you what works for other people, but I don't know what works for you, given your presence online, your content,
industry,
like
many elements to it.
We can generalize industry though, right? We can generalize it to a certain degree, but then it also then comes down to, like, you know, the minutia, the detail, right? The devil's in the detail, as they say, right?
Yeah, like you said, the visibility there.
Yeah, like what kind of content are you putting out? How do people engage with you? Like, have you been putting content out consistently? Like, are you going to get an organic boost on your paid advertising based on what you do? Like, there's so many different facets, and I don't think they get discussed adequately with customers.
I think also there's a whole big element, which I've had very recently, is what is their sales process.
Yeah, that's so fundamental as well.
We can fundamentally get the leads for them.
Yeah, and that's what I say.
If they can't
sell,
convert them, or if they don't have an irresistible offer, which is why they would come to you guys to be able to go, right, actually, you need to make this funnel or this offer even better.
Yeah.
Great book for that, actually. Alex Hormozy, the $100 million
dollar offer, right?
Yeah, that's a great book for
I've
that.
heard that's really good. I must read it.
Yeah, and I've got it on Audible. Man, I've listened to that like 5 or 6 times. It just gems, bombs upon bombs. But then also, I think that, you know, going back to our point in terms of layers, right? So I think that's not discussed with a client initially, right? So you're probably taking on a client who's like, shit, all right, we're going through some tough patches. We haven't really thought about lead generation for the next 3 months. We're a bit short, not going to hit our target. How much money can we scrape together to put into this? And they go, right, you can have like, you know, 2.5, 3 grand, whatever it is, right? They scraped it together. Now their mentality's changed. They're like, I've just given these guys 3K. I need a result now. And you're like, well, it's going to take 3-4 months minimum, and you're going to need a bit more money than that. Like, people take the job on, they shouldn't do it. You know, I think that's a big ethics thing, which is like a whole different. That's a whole series, not even an episode on ethics, right?
It's that transparency and honesty to
right.
say, look, if you are just doing this because you want something immediately, you know, there's a lot of LinkedIn trainers out there who go, oh my God, you're gonna get, you know, come and do my 5-day challenge. You're gonna get 5 leads in 5 days.
It doesn't work like that, though, does it?
And I'm just like, you may get 5 leads in 5 days.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to guarantee that right now, because it depends on all of those variables.
Yeah.
Who are you? How visible are you?
Yeah.
What's your competitive landscape like? What is your industry like? Who are you going after?
Yeah.
Which we've talked about so many times, right? Avatar. What does your marketing message say?
Are you clear?
Are you clear? Have you got something that'll make them go, yes, I want this, or I want to download this lead magnet, or I want to subscribe to that list? What's your sales process like? Like all of those things.
Yeah.
You know, what is your profile like? How much content are you putting out there? Yeah. All of that will make a difference. There are so many variables.
100%. And, you know, it's like even within the automation front, like with the way, you know, you got to communicate that to customers. Like, have you got a database? Like, you can email everyone. We did this with the, you know, in the early days, client had a big list. Yeah, I've got a great list. And we started emailing them. There's like 5 or 6% open rate on their emails, right? Because they just hadn't emailed their customers. So why would they open their emails? There's no incentive for them to do that. Yeah. This was old and it was dead.
That's quite common as well. People have got a list of like several thousand people, but they haven't actually emailed them for 2 years.
Yeah.
And they go, I've got a database. Well, when did you last email them? 2 years ago. Okay, effectively, you haven't
They're
really
dead.
we haven't really got those leads.
Don't have a database.
No, you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, but that's the marketing message, right? But then it's also like, I don't think a lot of marketing agencies do themselves justice because they don't communicate ROAS and ROI. ROAS is return on ad spend, and ROI is obviously return on investment. I don't think people communicate it effectively. You know, the way, you see my conversion calculator, haven't you? Put £1 in, you get this much out, this is how much it costs you. That's a tool that we use to talk to people about it. And I think every business should have that. Every business should have a calculator. I've spent this much on marketing, and everybody should, obviously, like ideal world situation, everyone should track their marketing efforts. Where has a lead come from? How much did I spend on getting the lead? How much did that lead generate me as revenue for the business?
How much is each lead worth? Because, I work with a lot of property clients, and for them, because they have long-term investment thinking, they are sometimes the ideal clients for me, because they understand that, yes, if we do X with D on LinkedIn, we might not get something for another 3 months.
Yes.
Within 3 months, we might start the conversation, but the deal may not go through for another 3 to 6 months. However, once a deal goes through, it's worth millions. So they know that actually we're not worried about the conversion of the deals. We want to make sure that our outcome is how many conversations can we be having. And if they're having the conversations, then at least they know that as long as they're having the right conversations in the right way, they know that in 6 months' time, just 4 leads from LinkedIn in 6 months will get them over £1 million. So therefore, spending £1,000 a month is worth it for them.
Exactly. It's
but they've got to have that long-term thinking.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But then that's also from we're not talking to specifically marketing agencies about this, but that's the marketing message agencies need to go out with, right? This is what you're going to do. Put X in, get X out.
Yeah.
I also think like if you're doing everything new, so if your message is new, your audience is new, the thing you're putting out there is new, you've got to do a heck of a lot of testing to see if that new thing works.
Yeah.
So I found like some clients will have all this new stuff. They'll spend some money on ads, for example, and they don't get the result they want. Yeah. But actually, that's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Because you've got to put that out there to see what lands and what doesn't, and then tweak it and go again.
So I've got a question for you. So existing business owners been in the thick of it for like 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 years, whatever, and they want to change the way that they deliver their marketing message. How do they go about doing that?
Wow.
Like mid flow, and then you're like, actually, we want to start like changing what we're doing. Like, how would they do that? Because that's also a real important question. Because when it comes to growing and scaling, like that's really important for people to do, because they have to iterate their message, right? But their consumer, their client base are used to a certain message that they're putting out. Like they're naturally going to have some kind of client attrition that's going to take part as part of their.
When I've had that actually, one of my clients currently, she's got a whole database of one type of client, and she's just shifted what she actually does. Yeah. So most of that database she's got is not relevant for the new thing that she's doing. But what we talked about is she was going to email all those people and say, actually, I'm shifting from doing X to Y, and let them know and say, if this new thing is of interest to you, stay. If it's not, then go. That's perfectly okay. Yeah. So let me know if you don't want to stay and hear from me. Yeah. But if this still makes sense to you and you want to stay, then that's great. So I think you've just got to communicate that you're shifting from one thing to another. And I think it's the fear, isn't it? The fear of loss. Like I think FOMO. Yeah. I know about that, but I think that's what stops people from doing that, don't they? Like and it's like when people see an unsubscribed on their email list, they suddenly have a heart attack, right? But actually, you're right. Like if you are changing your message, then you've got to be willing to let go of the people who no longer serve you and you can no longer serve, to be able to make room for the others, as well as obviously the nuances around actually changing the message itself. I always say there's no point in having people on your database and your email list who aren't interested in what you do, because you're paying for those contacts usually with a database. Unsubscribes. Well, that's the thing. I think that's the mentality. We've got to go, actually, if someone unsubscribes, it just means that I'm not right for them right now. Yeah. So it's okay. You don't want that person sitting there not reading your emails. Do you know what my unsubscription confirmation message is? Thank you for letting me know. Wish you all the best. Like, if you ever want to reach back out to us again, let us know. Yeah, thank you. Just thank you for letting me know, man. You don't want to receive my messages. I don't even think I've got an unsubscription. You change it, man. Because it's part of the customer journey, right? Yeah. Like, you absolutely need to change that shit, right? Because then it's like, really? They're happy to see me go? Like, is that okay? Like, cool, thank you. It was great while it lasted. On to the next. But it's important, But you're much better off having a smaller database of the right people than a massive database where most of those people aren't even interested in what you're talking about. They're never going to read your emails. They're never going to open an email. And that in itself is detrimental to your... Yes. Yeah, it affects your email deliverability. Because we are tech heads, right? We're marketers. We've got to have a bit of tech. It definitely affects that, man. I'm a mini tech head. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Me and Vish are probably a bit more geeky tech. She can barely switch on her iPhone. Wow. Not that much of a mini tech. I'm joking. But I do. Joking. She barely bought a kettle. But I do have Vish and Sarah on speed dial. Listen. If you ever get a message from D, before Sarah and I, before you and I became really good friends, literally Vish. She's like, hey, I need some help. Damsel in distress moment. She's like, and then it got to a stage where like she'd message, she's like, hey, just checking up on you. I don't need anything from you right now. I was like, and normally it would be things like, oh my God, things isn't working in my active campaign. Oh my God, this thing isn't working in my ClickFunnels. She's like, oh my computer's not working. No, I'm like, have you plugged it in? She's like, do I need to plug it in? No, I'm joking. But it literally would be things like, how do you combine all of these things together? Yeah. But now I have you two, so I'm all good. Exactly. But marketing message is important, right? So obviously unsubscribes are great. Like, embrace that shit, man, because like you said, deliverability all goes up. Culling is important. Just like, you take shit out your life and streamline, you got to streamline your digital deliverability as well. Yeah. But here's the thing that I see in terms of marketing message, right? I don't know if you've seen this as well. I've seen it quite a lot where people basically where they have a message
going out on platform A, they change the way they deliver it on platform B. Like, does that deliver good results for people? Like, I don't know. What have you guys seen around that? Like, should people have the same message? I can't say like that because it's, even though they're putting the same message out, same deliverability, same like whatever way of saying it, based on different platforms, like LinkedIn to, I don't know,
Instagram, for example.
Or TikTok or whatever, right?
So yesterday was a really interesting, so myself and Sarah, the last 2 days have been at an event. And one of the things that somebody said actually was that you don't want to just rely on one platform. You do want to have an omnipresence, right? And the infamous Rob Moore talks about this all the time, about growing your personal brand and having that omnipresence.
Which he's done really well.
Which he's done really well.
Yeah, brilliantly.
I do believe that there is a primary platform where you know your audience hang out.
Yeah.
And you know that they are on there. So you go, right, I need, that's where my primary messaging and platform is.
Yeah.
And then you can repurpose your content.
Yeah.
But not change the messaging. You repurpose it for the sake of the platform. So, for example, the format.
Yeah.
But your messaging, maybe some of the language in your messaging changes, because let's say on LinkedIn, you've got more of, more of your particular decision makers on there.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, you might just be doing it as a brand exercise, a visibility exercise, because your people don't hang out there.
Yeah.
But there is, I believe this. I'd love to know what Sarah says about, you wouldn't necessarily change the messaging and the tone and all of that kind of stuff, but you just change the format or the way it's delivered. And you've got to know what works on each platform better. Yeah. So like Reels obviously work on Instagram.
Yeah.
Now I post Reels on LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
Because they're short videos. So I know that short videos work better, but I also know that written content works better on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
I also think you need to be careful to do exactly the same post on each different platform. So where you don't change the image, you don't change the wording, because obviously Facebook likes to think you're just using Facebook.
Yes.
LinkedIn likes to think you're just using LinkedIn. Same with Instagram. So what I sometimes do is if I'm doing a post, I'll tweak some words. So the message stays the same, but I may just change a few words at the beginning and end of a sentence or whatever, or the headline, or the image might be different. But what I'm fundamentally stays the same, but it's just not identical across each of the different platforms.
yeah.
So AI. Don't get me started.
This could be another episode.
There's loads of different episodes coming out, especially.
Well, actually, we'll be inviting somebody who is a super AI genius. Yeah.
I'm only joking. no, but I'm geeking out about this stuff.
I know.
Especially at the start, because obviously we're a couple of episodes in, so anything we say is just like, oh shit, we should talk about that as well. And we've got a constantly growing list that we keep adding to week in, week out. So there'll be a lot of references to other podcast episodes. And remember, on the podcast platforms that you're going to be on, you don't just have to go through sequentially. Pick the episode that you want to hear. Like if there's like another 50 episodes after this one, and you find that you want to jump to episode 50, go for it. But just remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the stream wherever platform you're on. Okay, that's a really important thing to do. So make sure you do that.
Because we are your ultimate marketing podcast.
Absolutely. To grow and scale your business with Dee, Vish, and Sarah. I love it. It's a great strapline, right? It works, right? And like the story behind it was we actually used suggestions from find us the top 10 titles and permutations, combinations. And it saved us so much time, right? Because we would have been arguing about it back and forth. You've been arguing about it back and forth.
Well, we used it for inspiration, didn't we? We didn't use it to make the ultimate decision.
No.
We still made the decision of what the podcast title was going to be. 15
different titles, and then we combined them, and we're like, this it's a great discussion point. But talking about marketing message, and you said changing, top and tailing it, changing a few words here or there, call to actions, whatever, that works. But then if you had to do that for 10, 15 different platforms, it can be a body of work, right?
Yeah.
Do you see AI? Obviously, the answer to the short term is helping with that, yes, because it's a time leverager. I think it's a great way to leverage time in your business. But do you see it replacing the do of doing content?
I don't.
Yeah?
Definitely not.
No.
Yeah?
You still need the human element, I think.
Right.
I think you have, also you've got to bear in mind, for example, at the moment, ChatGPT, which is one of the most famous ones right now,
Yep.
that information it's producing is a couple of years old.
Yes.
So it's not totally up to date.
Yep.
So you've still got to sanity check what it churns out. So I think, yes, use it for inspiration, use it for speed, use it to help you get some stuff done.
Yeah.
But you still need to put your personality into it.
Yeah.
And you still need to put your spin on it.
Yeah.
So you would read it and tweak it.
Yeah. So
you're not going to just chuck it straight out there, straight from ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because it's just like it's weird, right? It's like robot speak, essentially, robot speaking English or whatever language you're
It's
writing.
very good though.
It's awesome.
And even after all the different elements that you can add to it, you know, the drop down list that you can get, and you know how you can like prompt it and things like that. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But you know, just like Sarah says, I can't imagine that I would ever take verbatim. I think what it's brilliant for is speed.
Yeah.
Definitely speeds things
Time
up.
leverage,
Speed
man.
as in time speed.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
Yeah, and I
because-
think that's what we all need, don't we, as business owners?
Yeah, we've only got.
If there's ways that we can, and even for content writers, let's say people are in that trade of, you know, you don't need to worry. I think what's great about it is now, instead of having 10 clients that you work for, you could potentially have 20 because the speed at which you're able to produce the output is that much quicker. But also,
100%.
like Sarah said, inspiration for ideas.
Yeah.
You know, just being able to go, oh, I'm not quite sure what, you know, I was talking to a client over the last few days, and she was like, oh my gosh, she goes, I can't think of what to name my LinkedIn newsletter.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so tell me what it's about. So we put that into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And we said, right, okay, you know, can you come up with 10 different titles for newsletters that haven't been published before for LinkedIn? Like we put all of that, all about this, that, and the other. So I think it was veganism and plant-based food and all that kind of stuff. And she got 10 different titles, and she did exactly what Sarah just said. Just went, oh, I like the beginning of that, but I really like the end of that.
Yeah.
And she put that together. Whereas,
Awesome, right?
and it came with strap line, so she could then go, oh, I love that strap line.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't like any of it, it tells you what you don't like.
Yeah.
So now you're like, oh, now I know I can put something that, how I can use just the beginning of that sentence. So I think, I don't think it'll ever be a replacement. I think it'll be a really good, it was described over the last 2 days as it's a really good junior employee to have in your business.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So there's like, obviously there's an acclimatization period with a AI that you would have, like, and because I've been using it for a fair bit now. And the more information I feed it back, the more it generates a world view and a set of rules, essentially boundaries that we're giving it, or, you know, you're feeding into it. And the content's getting better and better and better and better. Like, because I'm feeding back and I'm saying, no, I don't like that, I don't like this. And it just builds up that data over time. But
I think it's important, isn't it, about not being afraid of embracing that type of...
100% it's important to do that, because people are like, oh my God, they're going to lose their jobs. You know, no, you're
it's not going anywhere.
No, you're not losing your job. And if you're that worried about losing your job, up skill, man. Learn, like, you know, prompt engineering is a real thing right now.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it.
I've never heard of it
Mate,
until you
I'm just
mentioned
like,
it.
Dad facts, like this is encyclopedia of dad, right?
Just for the benefits of listeners, what is prompt engineering?
Prompt engineering is actually learning how to prompt a bot to do what you want it to do. So the output is, you know, it's more in line with what you were expecting. You know,
with your messaging, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's what I was just thinking, because like, you know, what I've heard is the AI tool is only going to be as good as what you put in. So what you put in, you get out. So you've got to become very good at the prompt side to get the output that you're looking for.
100%. It's like, you know, it's like engineering systems. I'm an engineering student, so I can say, you know, CISO systems, SISO.
This is why Vish was very confused about what you did at the
Man,
start.
oh my God. I was shoehorned into, like, my mum wanted me to become
I'm
a
an
doctor.
engineer, I'm L&D, I'm a hypnotist.
God, listen, you only get one crack of the whip.
I'm a hypnotist,
You only get
I'm a
one crack of
therapist.
I'm like everything. Like,
Oh my God, I'm a marketeer.
I'm a marketing expert now. But yeah, like, you know, life's too short, dude. Come on. But I got shoehorned into it. Mum wanted me to become a doctor, and I hate the sight of blood. Can you imagine that, right? Good Indian boy doctor fainting at the sight of blood. But yeah, SISO, shit in, shit out. Like, that's what it is. And I've got my kids.
And if you think about it, that has actually, so a lot of these marketing concepts that we talk about are actually from, like, they're not new.
No.
Like, I remember when I worked in recruitment many, many moons ago, over 2 decades ago now, I think. Like,
Rather
you
than
know, like
say
your
moons.
database we only got good stuff out if we were doing a search on our database for a candidate, if we had the right information in. So you're right, shit in, shit out. So it's the same with prompt engineering.
The difference between moon and sun is moons are monthly revolutions, sun are yearly revolutions. You said many, many suns ago because it gives it a better indication.
That's not a phrase though, is it?
No, it's not. But it's made out for
It can be though, Sarah.
Made out for it's the message.
Made here.
At the ultimate podcast.
Anyway, leveraging tools.
Podcast.
What we're trying to say is leveraging tools into your marketing message is really important. Like, I've got my kids onto ChatGPT, right? Absolutely freaking phenomenal, because they are the best learners. Like prompt engineers, they're like, oh, I did this, and because they just test relentlessly. They just test. And my daughter's built up like a database. It's helping her with her work. Like it's taught her how to do fractions and stuff like that. And she's loving it. Like it's amazing. And I think that's technology that everybody needs to embrace, because the next set of jobs, you're going to be required to do shit quicker, because the society we live in wants instant gratification, and unless you're able to deliver that for people whose attention spans are now gone, like we hear it in music as well. Attention spans have shortened, right? The long form video used to work well like a couple of years ago. Now it's reels are like fucking 15 to 30 seconds. Like come on,
you've got to make an impact in 15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the hell are you doing, right? Longer reels don't work. I've tried and tested it. Longer reels don't work like for people, right? And even songs, like I likened it to music, right? Music went from being like 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 minute tracks to now being 1.5 to 2 minute tracks tops.
Yeah,
because
true.
the attention spans have now become so shortened, because we've been accustomed to it with all the content and stuff that's going on online. So
it's a bit like Bollywood movies.
Bit like Bollywood movies.
Bollywood movies used to be 3 hour epic.
Yeah, I don't know what Bollywood movies you've been watching. They're still 3 hours.
Are they still 3 hours? I've not watched them in a long time, but I think some of the more popular ones are about 1.5 hours again now.
Yeah, I don't mind. The modern ones are, yes, absolutely. The independent ones.
One of the questions I have though, so going back to the marketing message, is what are some tips that we can give the listeners about things to look out for or really focus on when it comes to creating a much more compelling marketing message?
So, I mean, following on from the last episode, right, knowing your customer and being able to really hone in on terminology, because if you can generate likeness by talking about a problem the way your customer talks about their problem, you've already got your foot in the door. Like they're like, shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows my problem. How does he know my problem? He's getting inside my head, So that's, I think, a really, really important thing to do. I think language is really, for me, at the top of the list. Like your language has to be on point. If it's not, and by language I mean tonality, the words you use and how you talk about the problem and how it affects them. If you don't have those three things, you're screwed.
But you have to be able to explain it really simply, though, don't you? You have to be able to. You need a phrase or a couple of sentences that explains what you do in a way that everyone's going to understand.
Yeah.
You don't want to have jargon in there. So you may be an expert in something, but you don't necessarily want to put that into your marketing message, because your target market may not understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you want to put it in simple language, but in a way that resonates with your target market and tells them who you are, what you do, how you help them in a concise way.
In a nutshell, right? Because you've got like, what is it, 3 to 5 seconds worth of attention span before they go Finding Dory on you.
Well, imagine going to a networking event and someone says, what do you do? You don't want to give them a 10-minute answer. They're going to like fall asleep.
Basically, to start with, it's almost like it's not even an elevator pitch anymore, is it?
No.
It's like beam me up, Scotty. Like that's how quick you got to be, right? It takes 3 to 5 seconds for somebody to dematerialize and materialize in a transport chamber.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Star Trek lore for you. Sorry, I'm a Trekkie at heart.
I think also the other thing is, and I think in the marketing message, something that I've learned from the different gurus that I've learned from is understanding what the outcome of each part of the message is. So, for example, if from a LinkedIn point of view, so just like the whole, if you were asked, what do you do? That headline is your introduction. So knowing that in this piece, this is what I want them to walk away with. And one of the things I also learned was, like, for example, in a funnel, right? If you're putting an ad out, for example, the only job of the ad is to get them to click that.
That's right.
Learn more button.
Yeah.
Then when they come to the funnel, the only job of the funnel is to click the register now or whatever the outcome of the funnel is.
Get them to opt in, basically.
Yeah, to opt in. I think a lot of marketing messages go awry because they're trying to give everything away.
True.
At one point, like I remember when I go through my clients and talk to them about the headline and the about section, they want to put everything in there, like their whole. In the headline, I want to tell them this, and no, you just tell them these 4 things. Because at that point, all you want them to do is to go connect. Yeah. This person I want to connect with because based on their headline, they are for me.
Well, it's all about trying to get people to take the next step, isn't it? So you're leading them to a point and you want them to take the next step with you. So if I was to say what I do and I was to tell you in like 20 seconds, then you might well ask me a question and then I'll tell you a little bit more. But what you don't want is me to give you a 10-minute answer and you're sitting there and really confused about what I actually do.
Yeah. I don't want you to show me how to bake a cake. Yeah. Show me what I've got to put in next. And, that's what I want.
What do I need to do first with my cake?
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking, I'm in a time warp right now, but we were talking about like all the fundamentals of marketing are based on like, original stuff that's been around for decades, right? Yeah. Eugene Schwartz, The 5 Stages of Awareness, right, for marketing. He wrote that book in like the 70s, Breakthrough Advertising. Right. If you can get your hands, if you can get your hands on breakthrough advertising, go for it, right? And I managed to get a copy. I paid like 300 quid for the book.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
it's a famous book.
It's a really famous, and like, if you can get the book, freaking buy it, right? And I've read it, like, and
I think even that $1 million message or whatever it was, that's about 80 quid or something, isn't
Alex
it?
Hormozy.
Is not that
one.
Oh
no, $1 million message.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna find some more information to find out how much that is.
I think I've got that somewhere, but I don't even know where it is.
Have you? Lend it to me. You might not get it back. If it's
so I bought it for 80 quid. How much did I rent it out for?
Could you imagine, right?
You can make a lot of money, dude.
I know.
Like Eugene Schwartz spoke about the 5 stages of customer awareness, like going from unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, then most aware. And that's what you want to do. You can't take somebody from unaware to most aware and then expect them to buy because there's just too much shit going on in their head.
Yeah.
And there's like, treat your customers like you treat your children or treat people that are younger than you.
Or think about how you buy.
Exactly, that's so important.
What's your buying strategy? And then I get it that some people are like...
I'm impulsive.
Yeah, like I'll buy straight away, like straight away. Some people are like, I do need a bit of time to think about it. But in terms of the marketing message itself, like if you gave me too much information in one go, confused minds don't buy. Yeah. So it is about, like you said, Sarah, the next step. Like what's the next step you want them to take? I only need them to take this. Like, with the LinkedIn profile, I've got a checklist. Yeah. Which is called the LinkedIn Profile Checklist PDF free guide. Yeah. But I just want them to download that. Like they don't have to have a chat with me. They don't have to do anything with me. But the whole purpose of that landing page is to go, do you want a lead generating profile? Yes, you do. Download this.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's clear, Sarah. You said it's got to be clear and concise. And it's got to give them, and it goes back to understanding what is the big result of that piece of...
People want results at the end of the day. They want an outcome, don't they?
They don't care how you take them there, right?
No, they want the outcome. And that's also what you've got to be really clear on. What is it? What is the result that person wants? And how can you deliver that result?
Really interesting thing I was reading the other day, and I can't remember for the life of me where I read it. And they were like, we were talking about not landing pages, but like websites and like website. Because obviously I was looking at rebranding myself as well. So like, looking at the website and the structure of it, people were like, when companies, businesses, personal brands design websites, they design them about me.
Oh, this is such a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
Like don't design your customer facing assets around you. Design them around your customer. Because that's a part of your marketing message, right?
It is.
And so looking at the structure of my site, because I'm doing it right now, right? What I was looking at was like, how do I redesign this so that it's focused on what I'm achieving for my customer, and that's literally what I'm doing. If you're experiencing this problem, then this is what you need to alleviate that.
It's like your shop window, isn't it? It's like a like a view. They get to view what you do.
Yeah.
But you want to be talking about them and not yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
No, there's a place that you can have an about Vish Sarah section or about Sarah section.
Yeah.
And that's where you can talk about yourself.
Yeah.
But even then, you want to talk about yourself in relation to your customers and how you support them.
Yeah.
And then
Not about you.
Yeah.
I get so many people who like, I started my business after I left university. And I went to university and studied this. And
It's just irrelevant.
when I started my business, or when I started my career, I spent 20 years in law, but now I've decided to be a hairdresser. I don't, it's just like whatever is irrelevant, you need to take that out. Your story has to ultimately remind them that this is where you can take them from A to B, right?
Yeah.
Because either you've been there yourself
Yeah.
or you've overcome that or whatever, but your story has to position you as the expert in what you are currently doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not, I started my career as a journalist, then went into recruitment where I had the longest part of my career. Then, trained obviously as a public speaker and public speaking coach, which I did for many years before. I know I don't sound that old. And then LinkedIn marketing became, and that whole visibility. So yes, some of the skills that I had before definitely leaned itself into what I do now. But if I go around talking about my recruitment career,
It's not relevant to what
not
you do
relevant.
now.
No, of course it's not.
No.
Same.
No. It could be quite interesting to say it as part of your story, but you don't want to say too much about that because it's not relevant to what you do now.
or depending on the audience. I spoke at
That is
Recruitment
true.
Agency Expo, a few days ago, in London. And so that for
So
me
it is relevant.
is
to
relevant.
that.
But again, you're right. They only need to know that I had a 17-year career in recruitment.
Yeah.
They don't need to know what kind of a recruiter I was.
Yeah.
Or how, they might need to know how successful I was.
Of course.
But it's in relation, because what I actually spoke about was how to build a personal brand on LinkedIn. So it's got to be in relation, right, guys, to how that helped my recruitment career.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the other way around,
You got to
rather
segue
than
in,
rather than recruitment being the big thing. It's got to be LinkedIn is what I did even as a recruiter.
Yeah.
And that's how it helped my career.
Yeah. So you're making a
rather than-
connection between recruitment and what you do now, which is LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do that. Like my story is like I left corporate where I was teaching people and managing teams, and I was teaching them how to close sales as a head of global learning and development, dealing with hiring and training high performing sales teams. But then I started a business where the marketing sucked. Then I learned marketing, but I was getting taken for a ride because I was spending X amount on marketing. So my goal is to make sure that you can get leads and close your leads without having to spend as much money as I was spending on marketing, because the marketers were
Learn
pulling
from my
up.
mistakes,
Learn from
right?
my mistakes, right? So that's the part of the message. But then I bring that in different ways and thread it in, because my audience that day might be a little bit different. And this is like when you've been in business for a while, you've got those different avatars, and you can go, right, what room am I in today? Who are these guys? What's important to them? And how do I need to tailor my message? And I think that's, online it's harder to do because you can't have 16 different landing pages of your website, right? Because this is why customer avatar,
exactly.
right? This is why your customer avatar is so important. Like niche down and decide who you're going to talk to, and then drive that traffic to your website or your presence online or your landing page, whatever it is. And this is why lead magnets work, because lead magnets address different problems that people are facing. You can have them in different segments, different markets. Technically, that's a bit of a grey area, but yeah, you can.
I
have
think
it in
there's a
different-
saying, isn't there? Like, there's no, we used to say in the speaking world, there's no bad audience, only bad presenters.
Yes.
But actually, we could have the same thing. There's no bad audience, there's only a bad marketing message.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why your message.
But also, I
needs to
think, Vish, what you were saying there is you can have multiple lead magnets and you
Yes.
can have multiple landing pages
Yes.
to speak to different people.
Yes.
Because your landing page is going to do better if it speaks to one particular type of person. So when we've talked about customer avatar before, you may have more than one customer avatar.
Yes.
And that's fine. You can have different landing pages for each of those. So I think what you were saying is you can't necessarily have like 10 different websites, but you can definitely have 10 different landing pages that talk about different things to different people.
100%. And if you're blessed to have like a massive following of, on your social media platforms, like say you're 20, 30K plus, right? And you're speaking to different people all the time, right? Then it makes sense to have those landing pages. And then if you're having content about hairdressers that day, hairdressers, this is important for you. Listen out to this. Bam, 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 bam. Here's my call to action. Link in the bio, in my link tree, whatever it is. It will take you to that page, and it takes you to a hairdresser page. And then tomorrow or the week after, you might be talking to, mortgage advisors. And you're saying, mortgage advisors, this is really important for you. If you want something like that, go and check on my link. And the link in my link tree is about mortgage advisors. So then it works,
Yeah.
But Certainly if you're, in your growing and scaling phase, and technically you are potentially going to be looking at one set of niched down customers. Make sure your marketing message is all the stuff that we said before, man. Like don't start confusing it and over egging the cake, as it were.
Ooh, yeah.
Love that one. Love a cooking mentality, little example there.
I think also that's where ChatGPT could help you, because if you're really stuck on what to say, your marketing messages, you could just prompt it to help you. Now, it will come up with some stuff, and you can just take bits of each, like of the prompts it delivers, and create your own version.
Yeah.
But it's easier sometimes than starting with a blank sheet of paper.
Oh yeah, much easier, right? Because it's harder to start writing than it is to start editing. Editing's a way easier task to do, right?
That's the saying. It's easier to improve than it is to create.
That's true.
Absolutely. And one of the tools that I'm using off the back of ChatGPT, we were taking
this
the
is
text.
where the tech stuff comes in.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Tech geek.
Techie. Somebody could say I'm a Trekkie. Hey, dad joke.
That's why we didn't get that, Sarah.
Yeah, I know. Live long and prosper, Danita. So you take it. Let me talk. I'm trying to get my tech stuff out, man. Look, I'm bursting at the seams here.
Tell us. Yeah, so this new thing that you've been working on.
I'm giddy with excitement, man.
Go on, tell us.
My tonality has gone up, and I'm like shrieking now. So basically,
the audience are waiting.
I know, and you keep anyway. No, I'm not going to get into that. So basically, we take the text out of ChatGPT and we put it into something like Quillbot. Quillbot basically changes the order and presentation of the text. It can have like formal language, like, more convincing language. And it's like passing it through the mill again to like refine it even further. And it paraphrases. The biggest thing that Quillbot does, and you can sign up for a free account. Like, we're not getting anything out of this. There's no affiliate link or anything. Yeah. Sign up for a free account for Quillbot. It doesn't do everything that it will do. It's like a freemium service, but you can use it to paraphrase the text that comes out of ChatGPT. So not only are you using it as a starter, but you can paraphrase it to something that's a bit more human, and then you can edit the paraphrasing live in Quillbot, and then you've got something you can almost immediately start working with and like then improving. Like, I think it's just
amazing.
Opportunities are endless, man.
Yeah.
But it's also about testing, isn't it? Because I think that's the other key thing. You come up with your marketing message, but then you've got to test if it resonates with your market.
Yeah.
So, just because you've created it doesn't mean it's going to work.
Yes.
So a lot of what we do in marketing is testing things. Marketing 100%. Is all testing.
It is all testing.
So once you've created your message, put it out there, test it with some people and see if it resonates.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to have to tweak it.
Yeah. Marketing speculation, right? It's prospecting, isn't it? It's like the gold rush. Like, are we going to take this sand, put it into our trough, and then is there going to be gold in it? No. Let me change my location. Let me change the trough. Let me change, whatever it is, right? That's how it works. It's those age-old principles that we're applying to marketing today. That's why marketing message is important as well. Yeah. You've got to test your message. Test your message. So cool. Any last bits before we wrap up today's episode?
I think there's all sorts of frameworks out there in terms of coming up with a marketing message. One really simple one is, I help X to do Y without Z.
Yeah.
If you just even take that as your starting point, that'll help you put something together.
This is really interesting because we started off the preamble to this episode. We're like, this is what we're going to talk about. So just say that concept again. So we help.
I help, or we help X type of person do Y, the thing that they want, without Z, the problems or challenges they have.
Yeah, and that you could actually deliver that in 3 to 5 seconds. If you get that right, that's your opening gambit. Then almost all of a sudden you got their attention, and that's what you want, right? So keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Absolutely. And I think an important part in there is understanding, to get that message and to get that concept that Sarah's just spoken about, is to really know what is the big problem and the big result that you want. Yeah. Because often people go, oh yeah, I want this and I want this. And they make that same sentence, they make that a paragraph long.
Yeah.
When, just like Sarah said, it's got to be clear, concise, and understanding exactly, I help X, who is that ideal audience, which we've obviously spoken about, but then that big problem and big result, because that's what people want to know. It's like it's that whole thing, and like understanding what it is that your ideal customer want, and what is the big problem that is stopping them, because that will then resonate with them 110%. So it's really just making that really clear.
But doing it in such a simple way where it's like, it's so, I don't need to digest it. I don't need to translate it. Hit me, tell me what you're going to do. Yeah. That's it. And people over egg their marketing message, which is where they lose traction, right?
Yeah. And so with that, with what Sarah just said, my advice would be understanding that you don't have to sell the whole concept in your marketing collateral.
Yeah.
You just need the right message to get them to take the next step.
And actually, the key thing there is you want to say something that actually has a little bit of curiosity. So they ask you a question. So they might say, "Oh, that's really interesting, Dee. What does that mean?"
Yeah, exactly.
Or how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the best way? Question for you guys. What's the best way to eat an elephant?
One chunk at a time.
One chunk at a time, right? And that's what they're doing there. And when people give you their attention online, they're only giving you that one chunk of attention. They're not giving you their undivided attention, because this is what happens. People sit in front of the TV, they're scrolling, they're looking at content online. So you have got to be interruptible to their lifestyle, what they're doing to grab their attention. Take them to the
And I
next
think that's
step.
the thing, isn't it? Grabbing their attention. So in your marketing message, things like your headlines, your intros, that first thing that's going to grab them, the images that you use when you're online, or for your, when they scroll stoppers. Exactly. You've got to stop the scroll.
Well, like with a headline, for example, the headline's got to be catchy enough it grabs their attention, but the goal of the headline is to get them to read the subheadline.
Yeah.
The goal of the subheadline is to get them to read the next thing.
bit.
Cascade. We spoke about this in the thing, isn't it? It's got to be they've got to cascade down that waterfall, right? But that rabbit hole, they've got to be Alice. You've got to take them down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. On LinkedIn, I often talk about how when you put a post out on LinkedIn, you see the first 3 lines, and then you see a little see more click button.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have to then open up the rest of the content.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, first of all, how do you make that top headline or first sentence or first bit of piece of content make them want to go, ooh, I want to see more?
Yeah, exactly. Great nuggets there.
What about you? What's your nugget?
I was there. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Like, don't overegg the cake. Thanks for that, Dee. Thanks for listening to what I just said. Whoa.
I thought, it's only because you said keep it simple earlier on. I definitely heard the overegg of the cake.
Don't overegg it, man. So much, but we've already covered that. So some great nuggets in this episode of the Ultimate Marketing Podcast with myself, Vish. We have our lovely Dee. Dee, say hello.
Hello. And not just a hello, but make sure you subscribe to this podcast, because it is the Ultimate Marketing Podcast.
It is the Ultimate.
So it's the one that you want to have at your fingertips, so that you can be alerted to every single episode we bring.
Yeah, and it's a trifecta approach: like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, there you go.
You like that one, right? So, and if it'd be great if you think somebody could benefit from listening to the content, knowledge, the bombs that we've dropped, the keys that we've dropped in this podcast, then share it. It's really easy to share that, irrespective of what platform you're on. Share it with a friend, tell them to tell a friend, and we will grow the movement together.
And look, I know that we've mentioned a few times something about our UK retreat, marketing retreat. So look, we will be releasing information about this very soon.
Yeah.
So, but let us know if you are interested.
Yeah.
And we can send you information.
And stay tuned for future juicy nuggets, and let us know as well any topics you want us to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Interact, get a bit freaky. Lovely.
See you later, alligators.
Yeah, see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.